What's up, beautiful people? Welcome back to Impactful Living Podcast.
Where it's all about impacting the masses.
Yes. So today, you guys remember when a little while ago we made a video and I said there are times where I love my husband, but there's times that I don't like him, right? And that's normal in a marriage. And that video did very well. So I feel like we should elaborate on that particular topic today. So we're going to talk about fair fighting rules for a healthy marriage.
So you're gonna elaborate on what?
We're going to talk about it because sometimes, we're not going to agree, but we have to.
I thought you want to elaborate on the part that you don't like me sometimes. So
No,
it's okay.
I love you, baby.
Okay.
Right
All
now,
right,
I
let's
like
go.
you. Right now, you good. You on my
I'm
good
good?
list now.
Okay, all right, good,
No,
good.
but seriously, we really need to figure out a way to talk to each other that's respectful.
Respectful,
Right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
in a constructive manner. So there are some rules to this. And these are some of the rules that we've used. And that's why we've been together for 16 years. So we figured we'll come on and we will share that video because, again, I love him, but not every day I like him. Right? And so the first
You
one.
say that with so much passion.
I do, because some days you really be getting to me.
I mean, I could say the same thing, but I don't say it with that much passion.
Well, that's just me. I like to put passion in everything that I do.
I know you do. It's okay.
So the first thing is no name calling or personal attacks.
Absolutely not.
Right? Why not? Why won't you name call? Tell them.
Because the level of respect can go out the door right away.
Aww.
So I just don't like it. I've done it in the past relationships. I've been through it with the past relationships. It was never a good feeling, and it just, the respect level went out the door.
Mhm.
Right? That was immature on my part and on their part. But as you get mature, you learn certain things. What can better a relationship? If you have respect for that person and you want that person to show respect for you, then name calling is out of the question.
So basically, this rule promotes respect, right? And when you start calling each other out of your name, it's going to cause a bigger conflict. So when you know better, you do better. Right?
If I was supposed to look at you and call you,
Something. Yeah,
right?
something.
Because I see these things where the wife would be like, "Yo, you can call me a name," and I'd be like, "Boy, they just asking for trouble right there," right? So if I was supposed to ever look at you and say a word like call you out your name,
Mm-hmm.
at that point it's like, not only did I disrespect you, but now you're gonna look at me and you're gonna feel some type of way where you feel disrespected, and then be like, yo, you might start calling me out the name, and then we're going back and forth, all kind of other stuff, and then it's just
toxic.
It's toxic.
Exactly. And plus, I don't want that for my kids to see any of that craziness anyway. And so the second one is a 24-hour cooling period. Now, this came into play when I was in college. I was living with all my girlfriends, and some of us were still besties to this day. And that worked for us, right? Like, you could be mad all you want. You got 24 hours and you need to be on this couch. So when I got into the relationship with him, I implemented that 24-hour cooling period. And I think it's a great idea because it gives us time to reflect on our emotions, because sometimes when you're in the heat of the emotion, you're going to say stuff.
Yeah.
You might regret it.
Yeah.
So come with a clearer mindset, right? 24 hours is enough time to give you...
When we first met, I was working on that,
Yeah. I love
because
the honesty.
because we didn't, in a sense, we didn't start off with the 24-hour rule, but it's like
we pretty much did. It
it's
was
like-
very close to it.
yeah,
In the beginning of it, when we started getting serious.
yeah, because in the beginning, like, yo, you start drawing out stuff, and it never felt good, because drawing out stuff, you start creating conclusions, and you start building up resentment. You start finding other excuses or other things to be mad about,
Mm-hmm.
versus like, yo, just handle the issue, handle the problem, try to solve the problem right away.
Yeah, I agree. But when you do that, another thing, guys, is use I statements. So that's big for me, right? And I guess that's like a therapy thing. So I'm going to tell you, basically, I felt hurt when you did X, Y, and Z, versus saying, yo, you made me, or I'm not going to sit here, I'm not going to point, because that's going to bring on a lot of emotions. I'm telling you right now, when you start pointing that finger and saying you, then people get defensive and people start feeling some kind of way. So now I'm basically saying like, okay, I always start with I feel, X, Y, and Z, and then he can come back from that. How do you feel
Now
about
this
that?
this doesn't happen all the time, but because sometimes we might say you in the beginning, but
You
just
could
like
you check
just
yourself.
just like that 24-hour period, because when you start saying you, it's gonna
Hmm.
come off like the person is gonna automatically get defensive, right?
Yeah.
So, this you going back and forth, you did this, you do that, then it's gonna be like, okay, if I did this, what did you do?
Hmm.
Right? So it just become a little bit defensive. Well, you did this. Well, I did that because you did this, and then we're going back and forth with you, versus you know what? Maybe it's a cool off issue, and be like, we come back and say, all right, you know what? This is what I feel, or this
Yeah.
is how
I
I
feel.
felt.
Yeah. I'm agree with that. So another one that worked well for us. Again, guys, if you are married, chime in on this. Let us know what you do. How are you able to stay with your partner? How are you dealing with your disagreements with this, right? So the next one is practice active listening. And for me, that took a little bit in
Still
the
taking a
beginning.
little bit. Hey,
Because
shit.
sometimes I want to, like, he be talking and I've already got what I'm about to say to come back. And
listen,
no, I need to
listen,
listen.
listen. Our relationship is not perfect, and we still working on some of these things. But when we work on them, you see that it works.
Yes.
So the thing is, we're in this social media phase to where, if somebody's talking to us, we tend to be looking at our phone and be like, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I like that. Yeah, you look up,
Yeah,
I
but we're talking
like
about in
that.
disagreements.
But regardless, it's like, but that can cause a disagreement, right?
Okay.
That can
True.
cause something, because we should be actively listening, practice active listening when somebody's talking to us, period.
Yeah.
Because if we're looking in our phones, on the computer, when literally you could just turn around and give that person, look in that person's eye and give them the 10 seconds, because sometimes it's one sentence that they're trying to ask, right?
Undivided attention,
And
basically.
just look at them, then you give them their undivided attention,
Hmm.
you feel a lot better.
Do you
You
feel
feel
better? You
absolutely.
guys,
You
I'm
see,
looking at him.
see that feels good right there. You see that when you just sit down and you listen, you look at a person. Yeah, but pick up your phone and then be like, mm-hmm, yeah, that sounds nice, babe. Now, doing this it reminds me I do that too. So it
So,
reminds me I do that
yes.
too. So I like I said, I'm not perfect, because sometimes I catch myself doing that, and even with our kids, sometimes I'll catch myself doing that and I'll stop right away. But active listening, yes, we should always practice active listening.
I agree. But also, another big one, and this is for everybody out there when we're having some disagreements, especially those heated ones, right? And you want to stick it to them sometimes.
Stick
We
it to them or to me? Which one? Because we are talking about two always.
we're talking
So
to everybody,
okay,
right?
okay.
So we're talking about the other person is them, right?
But for you, the other person is me, though.
Correct.
See,
So
I'm pointing. See, now you got me
focus
pointing.
on the present issue,
Mm-hmm.
right? When you're having a disagreement, it's because you have a particular situation at hand.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you want to bring up stuff from like all 5 years ago, last week issues. If you already forgave that person from stuff that happened in the past, let it go. That's the biggest thing I could say is let it go, because your relationship is not going to flourish. It's not going to bloom. If you keep hashing the old things, if you keep bringing up stuff that they did in the past, stuff that
Well,
they didn't do in the past, any of that stuff. So,
what if they never resolved it?
well, that's because you didn't have good communication, right? I feel like if there's a situation at hand from the past, you need to go ahead and discuss that right then and there. You need to deal with that so you can move forward. You can't just act like nothing and sweep it under the rug like nothing ever happened. You need to deal with the situation so you could move forward. You're not going to get to 16 years, 20, 30 years with stuff harboring from the past. You got to let that ish go.
Man, okay.
Am I right or
I
wrong?
mean, you're completely right, 100% right. Because again, if you hold on to stuff, you only building up resentment. Now, if it's stuff that happened like last week or a day ago, yeah. But if something that happened a couple years ago, boy, that been
Yeah, that's been
that
done.
that dig a deep hole. Yo, you gotta come back from that one. But if it's something like a couple days ago, then yeah. But if you're holding on to something that happened years ago and you never get to discuss that with your significant other, then you could run into some trouble. So I would recommend just talking about that.
Yeah, because otherwise the conversation gets overwhelming. It's like, okay, I thought we was talking about this. How we get to this now? How we jump to that? Like, figure out what you want to talk about. You know what I mean? I just feel like you need to discuss the situation at hand and don't move past that situation until you guys, figure that out.
Now, what
Because
kind of example would you put? Because I'm thinking like, there's times where the person say, well, you always make me feel like this. Or they'll be like, yo, this happened and you make me feel like this and you did that a while back and all that stuff. So,
well, making
what?
someone feel like that, that's something that you must have said or did, and that's just repeat behavior. I'm talking about like if a big situation happened in the past, you got to let those kind of things go. Like you got
Okay.
to move past that,
Okay.
right?
All right. Cool. Cool.
Okay. So another one is take a break if needed. I know things sometimes can get hot and heated, even though you might be saying, I feel like, and these are tips that we've used, but don't get it wrong. There's sometimes the conversation does get heated, but I would say take a break. Never put your hand on nobody. You ain't nobody daddy. You're not nobody's disciplinary. Don't put your hand. I'm a big thing about that. I do not believe in abuse. I do not condone none of that. I have no respect for nobody that put their hand on another person.
You're
So,
damn right.
so with that being said, just don't put your hand on it. Like just walk away from the situation. Nothing is that deep. I don't think nothing is that deep for you to be hitting on somebody. Like,
I mean, people get heated, but I don't
yeah,
see the
but
reason. Like for me,
walk away.
I know for sure. I told myself that I'll never go to jail for that.
Correct.
So I tell everybody that I'm with, and I'm saying this on the live. You could never go out there and say I put my hands on you, because
Never.
I would rather walk out the house than to put my hands on you, because I ain't going to jail for that, and I'm not gonna let my son see that. I'm not gonna be that kind of example. So I would rather leave than to put my hands.
Yeah,
on
because
you.
when you leave, you go out for a walk or whatever, you coming back with a clearer mindset, right? And you can approach the conversation in just it's a better way. So sometimes you just need some fresh air. You need to think about, okay, what did I say? Did I say something that triggered this? Did I do something? Okay, no, it wasn't me, it was them, but I'm not gonna go back and do nothing crazy.
Yeah,
Just
but
walk away.
I mean, by putting your hands on something, think about the trauma or
Yeah.
the negative things that can happen. Something as far as beating on somebody, they could end up coming back and do something even worse,
Mm-hmm.
right? I never feel like a woman should put their hands on a man,
Absolutely
no
not.
matter how it is. If you feel like you need to put your hand on a man, then when he hit you, then you can't say anything,
Well,
right?
that's the first person taking a step. Don't get it twisted though. If somebody put their hand on me, I'm about to put my hand right back on you. But
But
what I'm
that's what
saying,
I'm saying. It's like,
yes,
yo,
for you
you
to be
don't,
intentionally,
as far as a woman now, I mean, you got some butch out there. You see what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it's like, if you're putting your hand on a man, then there's something called reaction as well, right? There's something called reaction as well. And my thing is that reaction could be very bad, right? So that's why I said, listen, I don't want no parts of it. I would rather walk out. I don't want to be in a abusive relationship. I won't stay in one. So
yeah.
once, if
But that's something you talk about in the beginning of your relationship, what you stand for, what you don't stand for. And
Mhm.
that was something that was said from jump
Yeah,
between us,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because God forbid you do. I'm sorry.
I never
Y'all might not
seen
see, bro.
might not see who. Hey, 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 pew, pew. Hey,
No,
what?
we love joking around,
What?
guys. That's one thing about our relationship. We enjoy each other. We have fun. Sometimes we take serious conversations and we make laughter out of it. But seriously, no, but this is not a joking matter. There are seriously people that are getting abused at home right now. And if you are, I suggest that you seek help.
Yeah.
Reach out to some organization, somebody, but don't just sit back and accept certain things like that.
Yeah,
So
I don't if you're thinking that person loves you, and I'm just gonna say this. If you think that that person loves you and they're beating on you, then
that's not love.
that's not love. Right? If that person loves you, that means that they have to show you respect. And part of the respect is they don't put their hands on you.
Controlling your
Um
emotions.
so I just at some point, if you're in an abusive relationship, seek help. It could be like one day, yo, they come home and they don't see you. You just pack up your shit and leave. You get what I'm saying? Just do something, but you have to think about it, especially if there's kids involved. It's bigger than just you now, because now your kids, especially if you have a girl child, if you're a woman and you're taking that abuse, if you don't want your daughter to grow up feeling that same way. If you're
Hmm.
doing that and your daughter is seeing that, they're gonna take that as it's okay to get abused by a man. It's okay for certain things to happen to me, and you don't want that. So I'm not saying it's easy to do, but I'm saying that if you think that that person loves you because they're still doing other stuff, but the one thing they do is just put their hands on you, then you're wrong.
Correct. That's not love. So, another one that we can talk about is seek compromise and solution. You guys just understand that, in any disagreement, you have to try to mutually come to a solution, because in your head, you want it to go this way, the other person wanted to go, but there's two people, right? And we got to find out what's going to work for us. Fair fighting is not about winning or losing.
So, so you're saying
You have to compromise on the situation.
you do, you
Right?
do.
You have to talk about it and come to a common ground is what I'm saying. Sometimes, let's go as small as what you bust up in an argument because of what we eating for dinner tonight.
Always
You,
happens.
that's not an argument. That's not an argument.
Well, that's not an argument, so don't
No,
bring
but
that
I'm just
out there.
saying as an
But
example.
it's a disagreement. It's like, yo,
Okay,
it
how
brings
do
it
you?
more than anything. And I think I can talk for the guys. It's like it's frustrating,
Okay,
right?
but we're not
It's
talking about that.
very
We're just saying
frustrating.
like fine. Okay, give an example then. See, that's what I was trying to say. I was trying to give him an easy example, but he didn't want to listen. Exactly. So, anyways, basically, understand each other, find ways to move forward. That's all I'm saying. Find
Yeah,
a solution. Okay?
it should always find a solution. Like, yo, if there's a problem, there's a solution. You just gotta work on it, and sometimes you just have to agree to disagree.
That part.
So,
I love
um,
that one because it's true.
because you just have to say, listen, you know what? I understand how you feel. I understand what I did, and I apologize. And I want to tell you how I feel and how you made me feel in this situation, and then see what your reaction will be.
Yeah. But see, saying apologize was about to lead me into the next one, which is express appreciation, right? Just telling that person that, I apologize. It's big. Saying I'm sorry to someone when you know that you were wrong, that's really mature. And I can respect anyone that can just come out and say, you know what, I messed up. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I struggled with that at first, big time.
Is it the Sagittarius in you?
I don't know. Probably Sagittarius and Jamaican at the
It's
same time. Like growing up, I never hear people say sorry.
You have to learn a couple of new
Yeah,
things out
yeah.
here.
I never heard my dad or my mom
Say
say
sorry.
sorry to each other.
Yeah, that's deep. We should talk to them about that tonight. No, for real though, we should. I want to call your mom tonight. Expect that
Man,
call, Miss Frida.
man,
That's
For that
really deep.
sitting down thinking about it, I'm like, yo, I never heard my dad or my mom say sorry to each other.
So when you don't see something like that
I
growing
never,
up,
and
it's not normal for you, right? That's why you got to set the example for your kids, because you see
yo,
how
that I'm doing something. My parents would never say apologize to me for, like, they never apologize for nothing. so so growing up for me, it was different. So that's why I said, listen, you have to be the change you want to see,
Yeah,
right? And for me, it's like there's certain things that I love about my parents, but there's certain things that I think that they did because of their parents and how they were raised.
correct.
So because of that, I said, listen, I want to change the dynamics of my future generation going forward. So part of it was expressing myself. Island in the islands, probably now it changed, but
Back
back when I
then,
was growing up, there's no such thing as expressing yourself, right?
no.
And it could be the family, it could be the situation, but for me, there was no "I love you," there was no "I'm sorry," there was none of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So growing up now, when I have kids, I tell my kids every day, "I love you," right?
Mm-hmm.
I tell you every day, "I
Yeah,
love
he
you."
does.
Yo, I never hear my dad told my mom he loved her. I never hear my mom told my dad
But
she
you know
loved
what
him.
changes though?
But
Your
I
parents.
know that they love each other.
But listen, also what changes now is that it's nice to see things that they know that they didn't do with us in particularly, they
Mm-hmm.
now do with the grandkids.
Mm-hmm.
So growing up, they never used to say, "Oh, probably I love you." But now those kids of ours, they
Mm-hmm.
get so much love, it's unbelievable. Your mom
Mm-hmm.
calls all the time. She gave them nicknames. She tells them how much she loves
Mm-hmm.
them. It's like it's so nice
Yeah.
to see. But
Yeah. And I'd be like, yo, where was that when I was growing up?
but again, the environment change, right? Your environment change, what you watching, you seeing other people, the influence of culture changes people
It
and
did.
time.
For me too, it was just like, yo, I wanted something different for my kids. I
Yeah.
want my kids to grow up. I remember when I came here, I never heard the word "I love you" out of no one,
Nobody's mouth.
right? And then when somebody look at me and say they love me, I was like,
Uh
uh. I was like, it felt awkward.
yeah.
It
Because you
felt
weren't
awkward
accustomed to
because
that.
I'm not accustomed to it. So for now, it's like, yo, I have to tell the people that I care for, genuinely care for and love. I tell them I love them and I appreciate them all the time,
Yeah.
because part of it is you don't want somebody to second guess if you care for them or love them or not.
Yeah.
You can't say, well, you know what? We've been together for 30 years or we've been together for 16 years. I know my husband loved me. No, sometimes they just tolerate you, right? Because the kids are still in the house. Sometimes it's just, yo, they just don't want to go out there and I have to pay child support or deal with other shit. It could be anything. They just there to tolerate you because
Yeah.
they
It's real
don't.
talk.
But for me, it's like, yo, I want to make sure that you know that you're loved. I want to make sure that my kids know they're loved. I want to make sure that my friends know
Mm-hmm.
that they're loved and appreciated. And that's how I am now. So changing the dynamics of my family going forward, my
Mm-hmm.
kids know how to say I love you
Yeah.
and truly mean it.
And especially in a disagreement, right? At the end of the disagreement, to be big enough to say, you know what, regardless of anything, I still love you. And one of the things that really like warms my heart is even though we have a discussion, whatever, you will still hold me and you will still tell me that you love me at the end. And so that lets me know that's like a great feeling. That lets me know, like, okay, even though we can disagree, we still have love for each other. So sealing that disagreement with a hug, it's a good feeling. It's a nice warm fuzzy feeling. Any other tips you would say?
Nah. I think they got enough. I think they got enough.
Well, guys, I want you guys to comment as well to let us know some of your tips because this podcast is all about helping and educating people. There's a lot of people that are thinking about getting married, who are newly married, that may be going through some conflict right now, and they just want some advice on fair fighting rules for a healthy marriage. Because making it to 30 years and above, those are goals,
Listen,
right?
I'll say this: you gonna have some fights.
Oh, you
You
will.
gonna
It's
have
part of it.
you're gonna have disagreements, right? But we always say this, like, yo, you gotta communicate with each other. You gotta have respect for each other, because when that respect goes out the door, it brings in a lot of other stuff that you don't want in a marriage, and then that can just build up until that person or both of you decide to split. So instead of doing that, talk, communicate. If you don't like something, say you don't like it. If somebody say something that's hurtful, just let that person know, right? Now when they said, when if you're on the receiving end and they come to you and say, hey, what you said was hurtful, you'd be like, yo, you can't put it off and be like, yo, I don't care,
Yeah.
right?
You have to
It's
care.
you have to care, right? You have to care and you have to show sympathy towards that person and empathy, because at the end of the day, it's like, yo,
Their feelings matter.
their feelings matter. So regardless of how you feel, they feel a certain way, and you have to try to understand that. And once you come to that agreement, you can move forward. But if you keep on ignoring that person's feelings, then it's gonna be like, yo, it's like I don't even matter.
Mm-hmm.
And then now when they go out and somebody's talking to them, and then they're listening to everything, and they're just giving them all the attention and caring about their feelings, yo, you just invited somebody else in your marriage right then and there. So there's a lot of different things that can happen, but to prevent it from happening, just do the simple thing as far as communicating, expressing your feelings. Don't disrespect each other. There's quite a few things that we went over today. Just go back over them.
Yeah, work on yourself. That's the biggest thing that I can tell everybody. So, if you want, make sure you check out Renew and Restore, my 90-day devotional of hope and healing. And that's just going to guide you guys just to work on becoming a better version of yourself every single day. Because once you work on yourself, trust me, that overflow that you could pour into your marriage and your relationship really helps. So, with that
And
being said,
you also have the glow up. So wouldn't
oh
that have
yeah,
a
the glow up guide just as well too, just to help people transform themselves and overcome certain challenges that you need to work on. So all of that stuff is going to be in the link in my bio. So make sure you guys go ahead and check that out. Otherwise, I will see you guys on the next episode.
all right, guys? See y'all in the next one.
Bye.